Good evening and welcome to round 2 of the GameCollecting.net Roundtable. I'm Matt, and here we have Alexander, James, Malenko, and Rock with me tonight. We've got a couple topics on deck for you. Mike, why don't you get us started? What are we going to talk about first?
Okay, well, our friends at the Play On podcast actually wanted to know what our worst Craigslist experience was. And I'm pretty sure the only reason why is because I said I may or may not have almost been molested on Craigslist. So that's going to be our opening topic.
It's not Craigslist unless you've been molested.
Yeah, exactly. Well, alright, here's how the story went. This dude, like,
go on.
He was on Craigslist, and it was like $25 for some weird-ass games. I think it was like a couple Spyro games, some Twisted Metal games. Twisted Metal 2 I was looking for at the time. So I was like, alright, cool, whatever. And I sent him an email, and he's like, hey, meet me at McDonald's down the street, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went, and we're literally sitting in, like, the children's area, which was kind of fucking creepy. You know, like the ball pit and all that stuff.
I was just there yesterday.
And we're sitting at the next to the ball pit with Ronald McDonald standing there measuring the height and shit. Whoa, what the fuck? Hold on, guys. There's an issue outside.
Sounds like there's a crazy Craigslist meet going outside of his house.
And Ronald McDonald petting his dog.
So how about you, Rock? Do you have any interesting stories while we're waiting?
I've really only ever had one Craigslist deal. It was some high school kid. I was trading a couple monitors that were just sitting collecting dust for, it was an NES, N64, and an SNES. And I'm a really paranoid person. I had, there's a lot of stories in the area about people getting murdered or robbed from Craigslist deals, and so I had pepper spray in my pocket, and it turned out to be this fucking 16-year-old high school kid, and I thought it was funny. That's really my only Craigslist experience, though.
Is that pepper spray in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? I'll leave now.
My personal one, I do most of my finds. I do a little bit of Craigslist, but mostly it's on Facebook, and so I live right now about, 35 minutes away from the closest city that could be called a big city. And there was a meet there. I was going to go pick up a bunch of boxed Super Nintendo games. And so I make the deal, and it was a steal. I mean, there were all the games you want. In fact, House, who we joked about last time, ended up with most of them. But there was the Final Fantasy 2 and 3. There was Secret of Mana. Those are probably the highlights. But so anyway, I make the deal and negotiate the price, and I head up to meet him. I end up getting there. It's about 9 o'clock at night, so it's plenty dark this time of year. And they had me meet. It was really particular. They said, go to the back of the Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store, parking lot. We live in the apartments that's right behind the store. I'm like, no problem. So I get there, and not only is it a dark area with no lights behind the store, not really a parking lot, just kind of a docking or a loading area. And the apartment building is up on a little hill, and there is a full evergreen shrub line, bush line, whatever. You couldn't see, and you know, they kind of come over, so it was a real dark area. And these people start walking out from these apartments to meet me, and I couldn't get a hold of them. I had shot them a Facebook message, and they didn't answer. But so they start walking out through between the bushes right up next to my car, and I freaked out a little bit until I found out it was them, and everything was all right, but it was pretty freaky at the time. That's probably the most scary or creepy meet that I've had. Pretty good luck with that.
I caught the end of that.
Was that like by me?
No, that was in Quad Cities, Davenport.
Oh, dude, no way, man. Okay, well, anyway, my worst Craigslist thing would be I had to make awkward conversation with this guy for like 10 minutes because I don't know, that's just what we do around here. I don't like it.
Awkward.
That's a great story, Al. Thank you for sharing.
You. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. Okay, so
Boy-
I agreed to meet this dude at McDonald's. All right, and we're sitting there, and I'm sitting like right next to the ball pit area with the fucking Ronald McDonald height chart thing. I'm sitting there waiting for this guy. He comes in. Now this dude walks in, and he's like fucking massive, right? Big old neck beard and everything. He's got these games in a little like CVS bag. So I'm sit down. I shook his hand like, hey, I'm Mike, whatever. And so he's chit chatting, and I'm like, yeah, so I gotta go. Can I get the games? And he's like, yeah, sure. $25. I checked them out. They looked fine. He's like, hey, before you leave, man, are you gay? What? The fuck do you mean am I gay? It's like, oh, well, I just figured if you were gay, like, we could work something else out. Are you fucking kidding me? This dude literally, like, tried to bang me at McDonald's over some video games.
And
Yeah,
this
is
is
that a
what you
problem?
get for buying games in the M4M section of Craigslist.
It's only gave the balls touch.
So I don't know. It sounds like a misconnection to me.
Dude, that was one of the first and last times I messed with Craigslist.
Also,
I'm sorry. I'm flattered that somebody would assume that I'd fuck them, but I'm totally not gay. I mean, that was kind of, not only was that disrespectful as hell, but it's kind of a dick move. You don't try to sell something to somebody and then try to get a piece of ass afterwards.
Literally.
Well, maybe you don't.
Great. So, James, do you have a story about a meet at all that went horribly awry?
Well, I did have a ad for a while that I was buying collections of games, you know. But honestly, I don't have much of a story. I met this lady that had a big oil bucket full of games, and the games were all covered in oil. That's pretty much
Wait,
it.
what?
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I
kind
said.
of oil?
It was some sort of lubricant or oil or something, like a big white industrial bucket, and it was just full of Nintendo and Game Boy games that were just covered in oil.
All right, so that's our scariest or creepiest meets for game pickups. What's the next topic, guys?
So yeah, this is our second show. We really don't know what the fuck we're doing. Another topic was one of your favorite childhood memories, or something you can remember from gaming that like stuck with you. I would have to say was actually playing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on the original Nintendo, and like I think I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I played for days trying to get past this stupid fucking factory level. I couldn't figure it out. And then I finally did it, and the power went out. And I was so heartbroken because the power went out as soon as I got past that level. I never picked that game up again. Never even tried it.
It's a sign, dude. It's a sign.
I had the same thing happen to me with the original Resident Evil on PlayStation. I was trying to beat it without saving, and literally right when the rocket launcher drops at the end of it, the circuit blew because the circuit blew.
I don't play games because that's for nerds.
As far as my I don't know, I can't really pick a favorite, but my earliest one is playing Excitebike on NES. That's probably my first game I've ever played in my life. I was 3 years old at my babysitter's house when I lived in Alabama, and yeah, ever since then I've been gaming ever since. Whoa.
I'm sorry, but what the fuck was that at the end? Did he like grumble like a dog? All I heard was.
I've been drinking a little bit, so I apologize.
Morph?
That reminds me of my favorite. On my Sega back in the day, I used to play the Star Trek The Next Generation game. I had no idea what the hell was going on in it, but I would always go on the little away missions. That's all I would ever do. I was big on my Sega.
You're big on everything, dude. So I'm sorry.
Mine was definitely on the NES. I've got like 4 games that I definitely played the shit out of when I was a kid. Zelda 2 was one. Super Mario 3 and Tecmo Super Bowl. Those are the ones I probably spent the most time with. But the best one was Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, which everyone treats like their redheaded stepchild of the series. And so me and my dad would rent the game, play through it. I would, map out the palaces or the castles or whatever, and we'd keep track of it, write down all our passwords, of course, and never beat it. We tried. We must have rented that thing 3 or 4 different times and played it, nonstop while we had it, and never finished it off. Well, this was, fall time or whatever, and so my mom and sister and myself went Christmas shopping one time, and saw the game and said, "Hey, Dad hasn't beat this yet. Let's get it for him." So we did. We bought it for him. We come home, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock that night. Dad had, of course, went and rented the game and was playing it. It was in the final castle when we got home, and ended up beating it that night after we had just, spent whatever, $60 on it at the time. So I was kind of, we had a laugh about it at the time. It was, man, that kind of sucks. We went out and bought this, and here you beat it that night. But that always stuck with me. It was we did that with Zelda 2 as well, as far as playing it together and doing that.
My parents didn't play video games. My parents were the stereotypical parents that would like move the controller up and down while they're trying to get Mario to jump left to right, and my dad never really got into it.
My mom and I, we used to play Turtles 4 and Mortal Kombat 2 together on Super Nintendo.
My mom hated Mortal Kombat.
My wife and I, when we first got together our first year, is about the time that the PS1 not originally came out, but the redesign, the PS1 design, whatever. We ended up getting one of those a little bit later on, and I think it was Tekken 2, and got into that a little bit. I had some buddies that had just gotten PS2, so I was a little jealous of Tekken Tag. I think had just come out, so we were a little behind the times. But anyway, we would play the hell out of that game, and for a while, I'd be doing good, and I'd win a few games, but, when I try to do the combos, I just doesn't beat button mashing for whatever reason, so most of the time she would kick my ass.
When I met, she wasn't a huge gamer, but she started playing, it was the NES Zelda on Virtual Console, and ever since then she's been going through all the Zelda. She's beaten more of the Zelda games than I have, and actually right now she's playing Minecraft.
That's funny, man. No, I don't think she's single, Al. I'm pretty sure she might be married. We'll have to actually. I mean, I think I have Rock on Facebook, so I can check. I can check for you. Let you know.
Please do, bud. Please do. Thanks, man. I don't know what I'd do without you, pal. Thanks.
I like how we've got a quietly awkward loser and a socially awkward autistic guy, and then there's Rock, me.
Yes, I am in my own category.
I think we got a good group of guys.
we got a great group of guys on the Game Collecting Network IRC chat room. There's Crazy, and there's House. And we got Locktar's a good guy. We got Rappo. Of course, we've got Terminix.
That's the big.
He's all right, but like he's not one of our regular guys. He just idles in the chat room and brings random tidbits of shit every couple weeks. We got Pyro. He's a good dude.
Shadowlink.
I have no idea who the hell that is.
I think he was born in '96, which makes him the youngest in chat.
He's pretty recent though, isn't
he? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he came in after I spammed the fuck out of Reddit when we did our last show. Like, okay, welcome. These are the guys. This is Shadowlink, and he idled ever since.
I know it gets quiet in there sometimes, but really we've got some people that are in there at all times. You've got Pyro and Brackner, who are in there sometimes during the day. Quattro King, who's in Europe somewhere. Is it Sweden? Finland?
Netherlands.
There you go, and there's one of them.
That dude's
Brand.
fucking weird though, man. That's
He's
the
my
only
cat.
way I can explain him, man. Cause
I like him.
He's like Aldude to the 10th power or something.
Except he's funny.
he makes Al look like an outstanding member of society.
Well, I mean, I do recycle.
So how many of you guys still like actively hunt for games?
Me,
I do.
I go to the same thrift stores every week.
every other day.
Today I went to the store in Chicago called People Play Games. I think it's been posted in Reddit a few times, and they were actually really cool. I mean, their prices are right around eBay prices, but they have a really good selection. Like I've never seen any TurboGrafx games in one place before, in any place before. But they had a really good selection of just every console.
Dungeon Explorer?
I don't think they had that, but they had they had TurboGrafx games. I mean, those are the only TurboGrafx games I've ever seen in a store. I mean, I bought what games did I buy? I bought Mega Man 2 and 3. I bought Sonic on Master System, the European version, and Codename Viper, I think was the other one.
Codename Viper was amazing. I had that as a kid.
Yeah, like I said, they were about eBay prices. Sonic was like $40. Mega Man 2 was $25. Mega Man 3 was $21, and then Viper was, I think, $4.
I don't really, I can't really afford it anymore. With me getting married last weekend, we got the twins on the way. I don't really collect like you guys do. I'll go to the thrift store every now and then and check shit out, but the only time I really the only time I really like go out looking for anything is like if I remember a game that I was playing, I'll look for it online, and if I find it online, I'll check out prices, and I'll probably just order it from eBay or something. I don't really go to the thrift stores or anything anymore. To me it feels like it's too much work, like right now with what I got going on.
You're growing up, buddy. It's what everyone does.
I know you sold off a bunch of your games, but are you like rebuilding it all, or what are you doing right now with your games?
I think we touched on this. Al, shut up. I think we touched on this last week or the last show. Like there's certain things that I parted with because I wasn't really a Nintendo kid growing up, and I sold off all of my Nintendo stuff. Like I have nothing Nintendo except for an N64 and a couple GameCubes and maybe some rare items that I plan on keeping just because it's cool to own, and they weren't really weren't popular, or I played the fuck out of them. Like I got a sealed copy of The Herbs. That's a classic game, and that was also a joke because that game is horrible. But I keep most of the stuff. Like I've still got every copy of Bleem. I got the PC version. I got the versions for the Dreamcast. I have those all sealed. I have a couple like big box computer games. I've got an original copy of Warcraft still sealed in the box. Copy of Warcraft 2, copy of Warcraft 3. I got the battle chest, and it's just right now it's just things that look nice on a shelf. I don't really actively collect anything other than like Dreamcast or Sega Genesis, and those I got rid of most of that stuff, but I'm going through again and I'm trying to find deals, and just really they're just going to be shelf fillers for the time being. It's not like I'm going to go out, and I'm not going to go out searching for stuff to play. It's just going to go on a shelf to look nice.
That's most of my collection anyway. I'm still trying to rebuild for my old collection though, but I think I've surpassed what I had before. I know last time I only had like 2 Master System games and maybe like 4 or 5 Atari 2600 games and a few Saturn games, and none of them were complete, so I know my collection's already a lot better than it was before.
Mine's a whole lot better than it used to be. Because I'm just still adding to it and stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but with me, this is like the 3rd time I'm rebuilding my collection. The first time I sold it and I didn't really know what I had. The second time I sold it because I needed the extra money.
I mean, I still go to like shops every other day because like the pawn shop that I go to has like all their SNES games for $3 each, in which today I showed up, no one was in there, and the one lady that I'm good friends with, she just comes over and she's like, hey, do you want these? And there's Super Mario World, the one that was for the box, like in the boxed version, not the other one that was in, like, packaged in. And then Super Mario All-Stars and Mortal Kombat 2, and I was like, yeah. And then I bought those, and that was cool. They also had their PS2 games for like $2, which is like, alright, cool. So yeah, that's my story of things.
There's this Goodwill that opened up near me a couple months ago, and they have they have just flat prices for all their media. Like it's just flat $2 for video games. It's $1 if it comes in a CD case. And I've gotten a few deals from there already. I've gotten, I think it was Crash 1 and 2 from there for $1 each. I got of all games, Jeopardy on N64 for $2, which I had that game growing up, so I still needed to buy it, but it was $2, so might as well. I got Castlevania Curse of Darkness and Metal Slug Anthology on PS2. Those were, I think they rang me up for $2 each on those, which those go for a decent amount.
As far as actual places I go to hunt, I find that I obviously hit all the thrift stores and the pawn shops. I think the pawn shops have been, as far as going to a store, my best bet. Found the most high quality stuff at pawn stores. Obviously the $2 DuckTales 2 was nice. That was at a pawn store. But other than that, I found a Mega Man X2 for $40 because they had looked up the Mega Man X price, so that was nice. But pawn stores in general, they either don't care what they have or don't know what they have. So I found the best luck there.
Half Price Books is kind of the same way. I picked up a sealed copy, a sealed black label copy of Silent Hill 2 for $15 from there. I sold that last week for $130 and just bought an open copy for I think $10 or $15.
Half Price Books is kind of weird though, because depending on where you're at, depends on who actually prices the shit. Where I work now, out in North Olmsted, there's one like right across the street from the mall where I work at. And they had like Game Gear games, labels all tore up, and they wanted like $40-50 for these games, and you didn't even know what the hell they were. They were just like shitty labeled games. I think one of them was baseball, and it was like $45. Who the hell's going to pay $45 for a shitty baseball game?
The ones near me are hit or miss. Like I've gotten a couple of they have like double ender or two-sided Atari 2600 cartridges. They were $1 a piece. I've gotten the sealed Silent Hill 2, Champions of Norath on PS2 for $1. I mean, but I've also seen things like Donkey Kong Country for $35 or Mario World for $25. It really depends when you go. Usually when I go though, I just raid their clearance shelf.
Yeah, clearance is a good point because the stores that don't want to hold on to the inventory and that have value and turning it quick, you can definitely get some deals. Even if it's been picked through and is there, you're still going to find a good deal.
The only problem with the Half Price Books I go to is there's this copy of Onimusha for Xbox that I've been eyeing for the longest time. They have a $20 price tag on it. It's been there since the first time I set foot in that store, like a year ago when they first opened, and it still has the same $20 tag on it. It's still not on clearance.
I can't stand that. There's a DVD store I used to go to that would just flat price video games at $5. And I went back there recently, and he's got the VGPC app on his phone now, so everything's way expensive.
The thing is, there's a store that I went to in Southern Illinois that I spoke with the owner, and he completely prices everything by VGPC. And it's actually good because there's a lot of stores that like, oh, it's $10 on eBay, oh, I'll charge $15, I'll charge $20. Some of the stores are a little ridiculous, so I don't mind if a store uses VGPC to price their games. At that same store, I got Double Strike on NES complete for just under $10, which that's actually a pretty good price, even if going by VGPC.
That's kind of what I was going to say. The VGPC, I use it to price stuff in Thunder Cards, which we talked about last time, but that's becoming a fair price, and usually eBay is finishing higher than those prices. So people that use eBay as a blanket tool are going to miss out versus the shops that do find the better tool to use.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that we have Pat joining the show, so
Salutations, Patrick.
Salutations. So what's the topic right now?
Why you're so cute?
Oh.
We're actually talking about like, do we still go hunting at thrift stores? And Whit brought up a good point about how a lot of these stores will check eBay for prices, and they're actually, a lot of them are losing out because eBay is really hit or miss nowadays, and VGPC's got like more of a grasp on what it's actually worth compared to an eBay price, where one day on eBay a copy of some game, like let's say Earthbound, is some idiot buys it for $300, so a store sees that and they'll put it on for $300, nobody's going to buy it. And then another store down the street sees it and somebody sells it for $40 and they label it for 40, but they're really losing out because VGPC's got it for a reasonable price of 120 or something like that.
Yeah, I also hate it when people like price things, or like they'll think something's worth it when it's just listed at a price. Like, oh, this thing's listed at $400. It must be worth that, even though no one bought it.
Well, I mean, the store I went to in Southern Illinois, they had a couple really neat items. Like they had sealed 10-gen Tetris, and he had a $1,500 price tag on it, which he knew was completely unrealistic. But he said it's really not priced to sell. It was priced to show off that he has it. And he said that if someone's willing to pay the $1,500 for it, he'll sell it.
I could understand that. If I had a retail store, I would so put my rarest games in like a glass case with outrageous prices, just so people would know they were there and they were available, even though they're not.
Well, at the store I went to in Chicago today, they had a copy of Mortal Kombat 1 on Sega CD, signed by the guy that played Johnny Cage in the series. And I asked them how much. They said, oh, it's not for sale. They're just showing it off. So, I mean, there's stores that just do that, too. They don't even put a price tag on it. They just show it off, which I would totally do if I owned a game store.
Oh, I'm sure that got signed on that Galvin Ghost meetup that they had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're all in the Chicago area. I mean, for the guy that plays Shang Tsung, he's a practicing doctor in the Chicago area.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking of switching doctors, and I might go to him just so I can get his autograph, have him sign a couple Mortal Kombat items.
Do the reflex
so
test, and he just bashes your knee in.
I don't know who are you talking about, like the guy who did the motion capture, or
Yeah, the guy that did the motion capture and the for the old Mortal Kombats, not the new ones.
Okay, so that was probably Daniel Pacina.
Philip
born March 31st.
Philip Sang, I don't know.
You said, who the hell did you say, Johnny Cage or Liu Kang?
Liu Kang was Ho Sung Pak.
The one that I saw today was signed by the guy that played Johnny Cage.
Well, that was Daniel Pacina.
The doctor, he said, was Shang Tsung.
Anyway, yeah, back to topic here. My feeling about the whole thing is everybody tries to, they think about collecting as, collecting's not like collecting anymore. It's all about who's got the higher price. And it's all about, like, selling, which doesn't really make sense. Like, that's why I like trading more than anything. Like, I'm getting out of it now, but when I was doing it, I like trading with you guys, especially, like, Rock, because he's kind of close. But, it was like, how much do I value this game, as far as what other games can I get for this, rather than how much I can get for this.
Yeah, because like when you and I traded you, what was it, a broadband adapter for a Sega Saturn, and you had no use for the Sega Saturn. I had no use for the broadband adapter for GameCube, so we traded, and we both felt it was fair.
Exactly, and I think I got Banjo-Kazooie out of something else that I gave you, and it was just like, I really wanted that game, and, that's how it works.
I know I've traded Whit a few things, but it was usually stuff that, like when our recent trade that we did, I bought Splatterhouse for TurboGrafx off of him, and I just sent him other stuff to kind of make up the price difference that he gave me, which I know he's just going to sell on the website anyway.
Because he's a dirty, filthy reseller.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, at least he uses the money, though, for, like, pushing it
Drugs.
or getting his own more stuff. Yeah, and drugs, too. School.
Heroin. I'm pretty sure there's heroin involved.
Most likely. I mean, as far as reselling goes, though, I'm really only against it is there's this guy in an antique mall near me that he has seriously a $60 price tag on Final Fantasy 1 for NES. He has a $90 price tag on a PS1. Like those are the resellers that are just insane. The other ones where they're selling it for a more reasonable price, I'm fine with that.
I don't even call them resellers, dude. I call those people poachers because they're basically poaching the stupidest fucking customer they can find to buy the stuff.
At my local flea market, I picked up my Genesis, and this was 3 years ago when I like first joined the chat room or something like that. And I got my Genesis plus like Sonic the Hedgehog for like $55 or something like that. And that's kind of astronomical when you're talking about a Genesis and one of the most common games on this system.
Hey, there's one born every minute.
That's true.
The only game I ever really got ripped off on was it was the first Final Fantasy with my first collection, like almost 10 years ago. I got it it was when EB Games was even still around for, I think they had a $30 or $40 price tag on it, which I don't think it was even going for that much back then. I mean, it's only going for $10 now.
I only get ripped off when the game doesn't work and if people don't allow you to return it. And it's like, oh, my life's over.
To be fair, there are people that are like that out there, which is really a shame. Well, I've been dealing with an issue where, like I said earlier, I sold the sealed Silent Hill 2. I sold it to some guy in Arizona, and I shipped it to him, and it got sent back to me. And he was saying because I didn't put the apartment number on it, which I did. It's just I guess their mailman doesn't know how to read or something. So I shipped it back to him, but I've been having to deal with that for the last few days.
That's the worst part about selling on eBay is you get these jackass buyers that'll either bid not actually want the item or they're a pain to deal with afterwards because of the way eBay is set up to, favor. I mean, you hear stories both ways, I guess, whether they favor the buyer. You hear about console swaps and things like that. I have a pretty strong feeling that's what happened with the CDI lot I sold ages ago, is that they swapped the console and sent me back a busted one.
I remember that because you were pissed. You were like, it was working when I sent it. You were so sad. You were like, but it worked. I tested it.
I'd spent too much money on that, but the lot came with a partial in-box Rob NES set, so that's mostly what I bought the whole lot for. Got a good deal on the whole thing, but I just wanted to be out from under that CDI. That was the bane of my existence for too long.
I would hope that's the reason that you bought it, because I used to own a CDI, and that console is just awful. Just awful.
Wasn't it like 2 months you were trying to sell that thing, and like, didn't you have it listed before somebody actually bought it, and you had to relist it?
The CDI lot, it was the CDI, the gun that goes with it, an extra controller, and I think it was like 35 games. I listed it all in one shot. It sold after it relisted once or whatever for, I don't even remember what the amount was now, but I sent it to him. Lady said it wouldn't power up. We went through a bunch of troubleshooting steps. I'm finally like, whatever, send it back. And it was busted when it got back, along with a bunch of damage to the game cases, the jewel cases, because when she sent it back, the packing wasn't right. And they sat on it for like 2 months because it was supposed to be a Christmas present for her son or whatever. And so that's how far back this goes. And I just sold the rest of the games I had at the beginning of last month when I finally just unloaded them all in one go, whatever was left. I ended up doing okay about it because some guy paid me $60 for the gun in a couple games, but it was not fun, and the console is still got trashed.
If that was a Christmas present for her son, she must not love her son very much.
Adopted son.
You asked me for one 30 years ago, and I'm finally giving it to you.
Like I played the only games I really played on there were I played the 2 Zelda games. Those are the only games that I had when I had a CDI, and they were
poor bastard.
I cried. They were so bad.
Weren't those unlicensed by Nintendo?
No, they were licensed from what I understand. It's just they were just really bad. And at the time, I bought the pair for like $15 shipped, and now they're going for what, $150 each.
Yeah, they got pretty stupid when I was trying to sell mine. The best game I got that came with it, well, there were 2 of them that were decently priced. One was Hotel Mario, which was like $35. But at the time I was doing that looking around, Zeldas were going for about $75 a piece.
Collecting in general was cheaper 10 years ago, which is when I had my first collection. I mean, I got all 6 of the NES Mega Man games for just under $20, and I paid like $40 for the first Mega Man, and then I paid almost $40 for 2 and 3 just today, and I still need 4, 5, and 6.
I actually, like, I think I was talking to you about it, about how I had my initial collection. I sold it for maybe like $1,500 or $2,000, and it was a ton of games. But I actually had found an inventory list of the games and stuff I had, and I did the math compared to like what I sold the entire thing for compared to what the prices are worth now, and I fucked myself, man. I could have walked out of here with like 10 grand if I were to sell that collection today.
Yeah, when I had my old collection, I didn't have a ton of the higher price games now, but I had like Bustagroo for PlayStation, which goes for about $50 now. I had all the Final Fantasy games, and some of them go for like $20-$30, like the Super Nintendo ones. And it's just ridiculous how much the prices have jumped up.
Yeah, well, the way I was when I did my first collection, this was, I mean, my son's about to be 7, and so this was maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I ended up getting rid of it. Before that, I mean, I was like a bachelor, man. I had my parents owned the house, and I was living upstairs from them for free. Like, I had my own apartment. Everything was set up like the way I liked it. And I would just go out and buy any game that I could find. And like, people weren't listing them to sell like to collectors. Like, you could probably find Earthbound 8 or 9 years ago for $15-$20. Or like Super Mario 64 was like $4. Stuff like that. Like, games that are $10, $15, $20 now were like $1.50, buy 5 for 5, stuff like that, because people weren't really selling these games to collectors back in the day. The thing that really like picked it up was shows like Pawn Stars or Storage Wars, stuff like that. Really got, yeah, dude, it was really like they took the attention, like, and showed the general public, like, hey, if you got this shit in your attic or your basement, you're sitting on a gold mine. So people started throwing it up on eBay, selling it at shows, stuff like that, and now we're out here trying to collect these games and preserve them, and people are just trying to run up in our asses with it.
A big part of that, though, is also the time frame that these games came out originally. You know, some of us grew up with stuff like NES, and now we're to the age where, in general, people our age, you know, they want to recapture some of that childhood, which is the reason a lot of us collect, is for the nostalgia. And so you have the entrepreneurs that will take advantage of some of that. But, you know, we reach that age where we're adults and we're spending our own money and have some disposable income, you know, to certain degrees. So that drives the market up. And it happened to Atari before, and there was a crash, and people talk about a crash on NES and Nintendo. I don't think that'll happen. I do hope it settles down some, just for stability's sake, but that has a huge part to do with why the prices are what they are. And it's so easy to reach out to more buyers than it ever has been before. When we talk about, you know, how we do about getting our finds and stuff and stopping at thrift stores and pawn shops, I get the vast majority of the games I buy, whether it's for the shop or for me personally, is from Facebook. And, you know, the power of social media and the internet in general just makes it so easy to find the people that are willing to do the work and, for lack of a better word, get dirty, I guess, and dig all this stuff out. The collectors that don't want to do that, they just want to get it, then that drives the price up.
You know, it's interesting. I think one of the best, like, collecting communities right now, I would say, is probably, like, the PC people. PC Master Race, but, like, we were talking earlier this week about, you know, collecting PC games and, like, big box games, and, like, big box games are not, they're not expensive. Let's just face that. And you're
Not
talking
yet.
about a game that's complete in box, and it's like $15 for like Half-Life 1 or something like that.
I think some of that has to you talk about the box game prices, where the PC, I know a lot of games. This isn't true for everything, but a lot of the games, the manuals, and you had to have multiple discs and everything that came with it was a much better package that went out, and so the boxes actually got saved a lot more because you needed them, and you see that with like in a GameCube, for instance, the difference between a loose and complete GameCube game right now isn't even close to the difference between NES or Super Nintendo loose and box, just because you didn't need the boxes and you didn't need the cases for those, but you either needed to keep it for the PC games or it was just super easy to keep and store in the case for the the disc games now.
So the older cartridge games that are out there, I don't pay extra for them, but if I find a complete one for a good deal, I'll buy it. But I don't like paying for cardboard. It seems like a lot of people think that the older NES and like even Atari and the older cardboard is lined with gold or something.
Don't start playing Magic then.
Goddamn nerds in here, man.
So what else do we have? Anybody else have a topic that they want to touch on here before we wrap up?
Could we do like Find of the Week, I guess?
Sure.
I mean, we could, but
Or like something interesting we found that somebody found or something like this. It's kind of like a staple for the series.
I think a Find of the Week is a great idea.
That's what I was listening for.
I mean, I'm really happy that I found Sonic for Master System. I mean, it's a European version, but you really don't see that in the U.S. a whole lot.
Well, that's great. The only difference between the U.S. and the European version is literally just a sticker on the back of it.
Yeah, and I actually looked on eBay, and there was one an American version that sold for like $100. So I guess that price is really coming down because people are finding out that it's the only difference is a fucking sticker.
How much did it normally go for?
And people probably don't monitor it.
VGPC had it for like $1,000 for the longest time.
I mean, people probably don't like watch that anymore because it's so uncommon that no one really like expects to see it.
Well, I mean, there's games that are out there that are rare, but they're not really worth anything, and it's a matter of who has the most. What idiot is willing to pay the amount of money for it. Because there's games like Jim Power for Super Nintendo. I mean, it's not a very common game, but you can get it for less than $10.
Or Uniracers.
Yeah, and there's a ton of games out there that really did not sell well, so there's not a ton of copies out there, and you can get them for insanely cheap.
that kind of that yeah, all sports games. Like that's one of the things that pisses me off about Earthbound. That game did not sell well at all. Like I think it was 150,000 units. And people are like, oh man, it's totally rare. No, it was a bargain game because people thought it sucked, and it was at the end of the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle before the N64 and stuff came out. So people weren't really interested in it. It didn't get popular till what, 10, 15 years after the console stopped being made.
Yeah, like right around
Well, there was
like,
that, and
Halo
it just
3 came out.
There was that, and it didn't have the best ad campaign. The ad campaign said this game stinks, and it had these scratch and sniff stickers that had like, oh, smell garbage, smell skunk, smell like it was just fucking awful. I remember wanting to play it, but I never got it growing up, and I bought it on the Wii U for Virtual Console, and it's actually a really fun game. It's not the best game I've ever played, but it's a legitimately good game.
Well, my fondest memory of Earthbound will always be seeing it prop up the Kmart shelves. They were actually using it.
I'm sorry.
God damn it, my thought got away from me. But yeah, they were using it to prop up the shelves at Kmart because they couldn't sell the damn thing. It was like, no, whatever. We'll use it right here. We'll use one right here.
I would love to get a job at like a Walmart that's been around for like 20, 30 years, just to be able to go in the back room and see what stock is left over for the old video games, or really anything. I mean, I'm sure there's pallets of stuff that's just been sitting back there for decades.
That's actually funny. That's actually funny because the Walmart Supercenter in one of the suburbs by us. They've got, I want to say, 20 copies of Reach Legendary Edition, the ones that look like little like safe deposit boxes. You know what I'm talking about?
The figurines.
I don't know if there's figurines in them or not, but they're just sitting in a glass shelf, and
Oh yeah,
I
it's
have
like a
not
giant
seen
statue,
anybody
isn't
touch
it?
them.
There's a Walmart near me that still has .hack Park 2 on the shelf. Like 6 copies at least.
And I love that. My Walmart still has a bunch of those Mortal Kombat 3-packs and,
Yeah,
and
and
Game Boy
Grand Theft
Advance
Auto.
games. Yeah, it's
No one wants those. Because $20, and like if you buy them separately, it's like $2.
Sounds like that guy, part of our group, that found a bunch of F-Zero GX Legend or whatever sealed.
Hey, I've got
they
that
were
sitting right next to me.
Are you talking
opened it 'cause
about
it smelled great.
he who shall not be named? The
Jesus?
the
Muhammad?
He who shall sit on a pedestal that, yeah.
Muhammad?
I mean, sometimes you find a good deal on sealed games. I mean, I found a couple. I mean, I linked a picture earlier for a frickin', what was it? It was a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen game for $1 that I got at Savers. I also got a Commander
They're still
Keen
hot.
game. It's Commander Keen for Game Boy Color for, I think it's like $6 or $7 at Goodwill, but I thought it was worth it. It's a sealed Game Boy game. I'm not going to turn that down. It's still less than what it went for retail, so I figure it's decent.
Yeah, I bought a Virtua Tennis and Choo Choo Rocket, both new in box for like $8 total, and I just opened them up and just played the heck out of them. I had that like new game smell still, and I was like, yay.
Nerd.
Yeah, what a fag.
Hey, Choo Choo Rocket's actually a pretty fun game.
Oh, for sure. Fun fact, it was also the first Sega game to be on a Nintendo console when it like came on Game Boy or whatever the fuck. I don't know
Neat.
if that's true. And that's it, everybody. See ya.
Let's
We're
go
done.
down the list real quick and do the find of the week. Al, dude, what was your find this week?
Probably the Mortal Kombat 2, Super Mario World, and Super Mario All-Stars for $3 each.
Nice. Pat, how about you?
I found myself.
Sick, bro, sick.
No, I found a Driving Force GT. No, Driving Force EX, I think, for the PS2 or whatever. I found that for like $25 without the pedals. It normally goes for like 50.
Nice. James, how about you? Did you find anything this week?
yes, I found my feet. But for real, I found a Commodore 64 DTV. Those little joysticks for like $5. So I can't complain. It's a nice find.
Mike,
I
what'd you
don't
come
believe
away
you
with?
find
Actually, I did hit up the thrift store over the weekend, and I walked away with a copy of Diablo and another copy of Diablo 2. And Diablo was actually like it doesn't look like the actual jewel case was ever opened. I can't really say it was sealed, but it wasn't in the box or nothing. I'm kind of upset that I couldn't find the box.
Awesome. Rock, how about you?
I would probably say just the Sonic for Master System. I mean, it was $40, which is about what it goes for on eBay, but the fact that I found it in a retail store was pretty cool.
Sweet. My find of the week, I think I've posted it before, but I was talking to a buddy of mine that grew up in the same town I did, went to school with him actually, and I got a big chunk of his NES collection, including Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4. Paid about $200 for the lot, so that was a good find.
That's actually pretty good. I believe sold those to SK Sin 7. For Famicom actually. I found like a lot of Famicom games at some local trade-in little mom and pop shop, and he had some Famicom shit, so I picked those up and I shipped those off to Nick before he went to Brazil.
Nice. Yeah, I do want to actually give them a try, and as you guys know, I've collected by publisher, and those are the only 3 games that Enix put out on the NES, so I figured, what the hell, I'll go ahead and slip those into the personal collection, so got that one done.
Yeah, you've been getting me going by publisher now, too. I bought almost nothing but Capcom games for NES today.
Hey, it's hard to find something better than Capcom.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I retract my previous statement. Capcom wins.
And the really only expensive ones are, what is it, Snow Brothers and DuckTales 2, right?
There's Snow Brothers, DuckTales 2, Rescue Rangers 2 is up there, and now Mighty Final Fight is reaching $100 almost. Well, maybe next time we can get into a discussion on publishers on a given system. That'd be great. But unless anybody has any closing remarks, I think we'll wrap it up.
No, I'm good, man. I think that pretty much sums up the last hour or so of chit chat.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Pat, James, Mike or Malenko, Rock, you as well. And I suppose we'll give a shout out to Al Dude who cut out early on us. Also want to thank Play On Podcasting for serving as a inspiration for us tonight, and GameCollecting.net for hosting everything.
Let's not forget about Thunder Cards and Games, ran by you, Whit. Do you have any specials or sales or anything going on right now?
Well, you know, I always try to do something towards the end of the month as far as a percentage off, but right now I'm any GameCollecting.net member who gives me a heads up after creating your account on thundercards.com will go into a group that gets a permanent 10% off everything in the store, and also free shipping over $50 order every day.
Which, that's actually a damn good deal considering like your prices are, what, 10% lower than what people would find for fair market value. I'm not entirely sure how that works because I'm poor, but do you care to explain your pricing?
Sure. I mean, whenever I add games to the site, I always check and see what price charting is basically putting them at, and I'll try to price it about 10% or maybe even a little lower, under 10% under the price, and with a minimum, so you're not going to find any 99-cent games.
All right, so yeah, I guess that wraps up today's show. This has been the Game Collecting Roundtable, and if this is an open invitation, if anybody has a blog or a website or even a subreddit, anything like that, if you want to come bullshit with us for about an hour, by all means, just send me a message. I'll give you the information and the schedule and let you know what the topics for the next episode will be. Alright, so that wraps up our Game Collecting Network Roundtable. Again, if anybody wants to join us for next week's episode or the following week, depending on what our schedules are, by all means, just shoot me a line on GameCollecting.net, hit up the forum, or you can visit our chat room. It's up in the top left corner. We're also on Retro Game Swap subreddit in the sidebar if you want, thanks to our buddy House the Mouse, who's a mod there. Just go to reddit.com/r/retrogameswap and click the IRC link, and it'll bring you to us. But other than that, that's it for this week, guys.